Welcome, and thank you for being here. If you found your way to this quiet space, perhaps you're seeking something gentle, something that invites you to settle into the present moment, while also learning a little about the remarkable rhythms that live inside you. Tonight, we're going to explore circadian rhythms, your body's clock, and the science that quietly shapes your days and nights. This is a journey designed to be soothing, educational, and deeply restful, a soft invitation to understand the invisible conductor that orchestrates when you feel awake, when you feel sleepy, when your body warms and cools, and when the chemistry inside you shifts like the turning of tides. Before we begin, if you enjoy this kind of content and would like to return to more journeys like this one, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. It helps others find their way here too. Now, take a slow breath in, and as you exhale, let your shoulders drop just a little. Let's begin. You have a clock, not the one on your wall or the one glowing on your phone, but a clock that lives inside you, woven into the very fabric of your cells, your brain, your blood. It's been ticking since before you were born, and it will keep ticking, adjusting, recalibrating, as long as you live. This clock doesn't make a sound, and you can't see it, but you felt it. You felt it in the way your eyelids grow heavy at a certain hour, in the way your stomach begins to rumble around the same time each day, in the way your mind feels sharp in the morning or foggy in the afternoon, in the way your body seems to know, without being told, that it's time to wind down. When the sky darkens, this internal clock is called your circadian rhythm, and it's one of the most ancient and universal features of life on Earth. From the smallest bacteria to the tallest trees, from fruit flies to elephants, nearly every living thing operates on a rhythm that cycles roughly every 24 hours. The word circadian comes from the Latin words circa, meaning around, and diem, meaning day. Around a day, your body is designed to move through time in waves, rising and falling, waking and sleeping, in harmony with the spinning of the earth. Right now, as you lie here, your circadian rhythm is at work. It's influencing the temperature of your core, the release of hormones into your bloodstream, the speed at which your heart beats, the depth of your breathing, the alertness of your mind, and the readiness of your body to either engage with the world or retreat into rest. This rhythm doesn't stop. It doesn't pause. It flows through you like a river, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, but always moving. And the most remarkable thing about this rhythm is that it's not imposed on you from the outside. It's generated from within. Even if you were placed in a cave with no windows, no clocks, no sunlight, no cues about the time of day, your body would still cycle through periods of wakefulness and sleepiness, roughly every 24 hours. Scientists have tested this. They've taken volunteers and placed them in environments completely isolated from time cues. And what they found was that the human body, left to its own devices, tends to run on a cycle that's just slightly longer than 24 hours, usually somewhere between 24 and a half hours. This internal rhythm is self-sustaining, but it's also flexible. It listens, it adjusts, it takes cues from the world around you, and the most powerful cue it responds to is light. Light is the language your circadian clock speaks most fluently. When light enters your eyes, it travels along a pathway that leads directly to a tiny cluster of cells deep in your brain, nestled in a region called the hypothalamus. This cluster, no bigger than a grain of rice, is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, often shortened to the SCN. The SCN is your master clock, the conductor of the orchestra, the timekeeper that coordinates the rhythms of your entire body. It sits just above the point where the optic nerves from your eyes cross, which is why it's so perfectly positioned to receive information about light and darkness. When light hits the retina at the back of your eye, specialized cells called photosensitive retinal ganglion cells detect it and send a signal along a pathway called the retinohypothalamic tract directly to the SCN. This signal tells your brain it's daytime, it's time to be awake, it's time to be alert. And in response, the SCN begins to coordinate a cascade of changes throughout your body. It sends signals to other parts of the brain, to glands, to organs, to tissues, all of which adjust their activity based on the time of day. The SCN doesn't work alone. It's the master clock. Yes, but it's not the only clock. Your body is filled with clocks. Nearly every cell in your body contains its own molecular clock, a set of genes that turn on and off in a rhythmic pattern, cycling roughly every 24 hours. These clocks exist in your liver, your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your skin, your digestive system, even in the individual cells of your blood. Each of these clocks can tick on its own, but they need the SCN to keep them synchronized, to make sure they're all telling the same time. Without the SCN, these peripheral clocks would drift out of sync, like a group of musicians playing the same song but at slightly different tempos. The SCN keeps them together. It sends out signals, both through the nervous system and through the release of hormones that tell the rest of the body what time it is and what it should be doing. One of the most important signals the SCN sends is related to a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin is often called the hormone of darkness, and for good reason. It's produced by a small gland in your brain called the pineal gland, which sits deep in the center of your head, roughly between your eyebrows and a few inches back. The pineal gland is exquisitely sensitive to the signals it receives from the SCN. During the day, when light is streaming into your eyes and the SCN is receiving those bright, wakeful signals, the SCN actively suppresses the production of melatonin. It sends a message to the pineal gland that says, "Not yet. It's still daytime. Stay alert." But as the day wears on and the light begins to fade, the CN loosens its grip, the signal changes, and in the evening, usually a couple of hours before your habitual bedtime, the pineal gland begins to release melatonin into your bloodstream. Melatonin doesn't knock you out. It's not a sedative. It's more like a gentle whisper, a quiet message that travels through your body, telling your cells, the day is ending. It's time to prepare for rest. It's time to wind down. Melatonin levels rise gradually in the evening, peaking in the middle of the night, usually somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning, and then they begin to fall again as morning approaches. By the time you wake up and open your eyes to the light of a new day, melatonin levels are low, almost undetectable. This rise and fall of melatonin is one of the clearest markers of your circadian rhythm. It's a rhythm you can measure, a rhythm you can track, and it's deeply influenced by light. Bright light, especially the kind of light that's rich in blue wavelengths, the kind you get from the sun or from the screens of your devices, is incredibly effective at suppressing melatonin. Even a relatively brief exposure to bright light in the evening can delay the rise of melatonin, pushing your internal clock later, making it harder to fall asleep at your usual time. On the other hand, dim light, warm light, the kind of light you might get from a candle or a low-wattage lamp, has much less of an effect. It allows melatonin to rise naturally, allowing your body to follow its internal rhythm towards sleep. But light isn't the only thing that influences your circadian rhythm. Your behavior matters too. The time you wake up, the time you eat, the time you exercise, the time you go to bed. All of these behaviors feed back into your internal clock, either reinforcing its rhythm or pulling it in a different direction. Your circadian rhythm is remarkably adaptable. It has to be. Throughout human history, people have had to adjust to changing seasons, to long summer days and short winter nights, to travel, to shift work, to the demands of survival. Your clock can shift, it can adjust, but it does so slowly, and it does so best when the signals it receives are consistent. If you wake up at the same time every day, if you expose yourself to bright light in the morning, if you eat your meals at regular times, if you dim the lights in the evening and go to bed at a consistent hour, your circadian rhythm will settle into a stable pattern. It will know what to expect. It will anticipate the transitions from wake to sleep and back again, and it will prepare your body accordingly. But if your schedule is erratic, if you stay up late one night and wake up early the next, if you eat at wildly different times, if you're exposed to bright light late into the night, your circadian rhythm can become confused. It doesn't know what time it is. It doesn't know what to prepare for, and that confusion can manifest as difficulty falling asleep, difficulty waking up, grogginess during the day, and a general sense of being out of sync with yourself. You've probably experienced this. Maybe you've traveled across time zones and felt the disorienting fog of jet lag, where your body insists it's the middle of the night, even though the sun is shining. Maybe you've worked a night shift and felt the strange, almost dreamlike quality of being awake when your body is screaming at you to sleep. Maybe you've simply stayed up too late scrolling through your phone and then struggled to fall asleep, your mind buzzing, your body restless, even though you're exhausted. These experiences are all examples of your circadian rhythm being out of alignment with your environment or your behavior, and they're uncomfortable because your body is designed to operate in sync with a predictable rhythm. When that rhythm is disrupted, everything feels harder. Sleep feels harder. Waking feels harder. Thinking feels harder. Even digesting your food feels harder. Your body is trying to do the right thing at the wrong time, or the wrong thing at the right time. And the result is a kind of internal friction, a sense of being at odds with yourself. But here's the beautiful thing. Your circadian rhythm is forgiving. It wants to find its rhythm again. It wants to sync up. And with the right cues, with consistency, with patience, it will. You don't have to force it. You don't have to fight it. You just have to listen to it, to work with it, to give it the signals it needs, to find its way back to balance. And one of the most powerful signals you can give it is light. Morning light, in particular, is like a reset button for your circadian clock. When you expose yourself to bright light in the morning, especially within the first hour or two after waking, you send a strong signal to your SCN that says, "This is the beginning of the day. This is when I want to be awake." And in response, your circadian rhythm shifts earlier. It advances. Your body begins to anticipate waking up at that time, and it begins to prepare for sleep earlier in the evening. This is why people who spend time outdoors in the morning, who take a walk, who sit by a window, who let the sunlight touch their face, often find it easier to fall asleep at night. Their circadian rhythm is anchored to the morning light, and everything else follows from there. On the other hand, if you avoid light in the morning, if you stay in dim indoor lighting, if you sleep in late, your circadian rhythm drifts later, it delays. Your body doesn't get the signal that the day has started, so it assumes the day starts later, and it adjusts accordingly. You might find yourself feeling more awake in the evening, more alert at night, and more groggy in the morning. This isn't a moral failing, it's not laziness. It's just your circadian rhythm responding to the signals it's receiving. And if those signals are telling it that the day starts late, then that's when it will prepare you to be awake. This is why some people naturally feel like night owls, more energetic and focused in the evening, while others feel like morning larks, bright and alert at dawn. These preferences, called chronotypes, are partly genetic, but they're also shaped by behavior and environment. A true night owl, someone whose circadian rhythm is naturally delayed, might have a genetic variation that makes their internal clock run a little slower. Or they might simply be someone who hasn't been exposed to enough morning light to anchor their rhythm earlier. And a morning lark might have a genetic variation that makes their clock run a little faster. Or they might be someone who consistently wakes up early and exposes themselves to morning light, reinforcing that early rhythm. Most people fall somewhere in between. They're not extreme night owls or extreme morning larks. They're flexible. They can adjust. But even for those who are more flexible, the principles remain the same. Light in the morning shifts your rhythm earlier. Light in the evening shifts it later. Darkness at night allows melatonin to rise and prepares your body for sleep. And consistency, waking up at the same time, going to bed at the same time, eating at the same time, reinforces the rhythm and makes it stronger, more stable, more predictable. Your circadian rhythm thrives on predictability. It thrives on routine, not because routine is inherently virtuous, but because routine gives your body the information it needs to anticipate what's coming next, to prepare, to optimize, to function at its best. And when your circadian rhythm is functioning well, when it's in sync with your environment and your behavior, you feel it. You feel it in the ease with which you fall asleep at night, in the natural way you wake up in the morning, in the clarity of your mind during the day, in the steadiness of your energy, in the absence of that dragging, foggy out of sync feeling that comes when your rhythm is disrupted. You feel it in the way your body just works, the way it knows what to do and when to do it, without you having to think about it. This is the gift of a well-tuned circadian rhythm. It's not something you have to earn. It's not something you have to strive for. It's something that's already inside you, waiting to be supported, waiting to be honored, waiting for you to give it the signals it needs to do what it does best, which is to guide you through the cycles of day and night, wakefulness and sleep, activity and rest, with grace and ease. So as you lie here now, take a moment to appreciate this clock inside you, this ancient, elegant, self-sustaining rhythm that's been ticking since the beginning of your life. It's not broken. It's not failing. It's just responding to the signals it receives. And if those signals have been confusing, if your rhythm has felt off, if sleep has felt hard, know that it's not your fault. Your body is doing exactly what it's designed to do. It's listening, it's adjusting, it's trying to find its way. And with a little understanding, with a little patience, with a few simple changes to the signals you send, you can help it find its rhythm again. You can help it sync up. You can help it do what it's meant to do, which is to carry you through each day and each night with a sense of balance, a sense of ease, a sense of being at home in your own body, in your own time. Now, let's turn our attention to the way light and darkness speak to your clock, the way they shape your days and nights, the way they influence the chemistry of your body and the quality of your sleep. Because understanding this relationship, this conversation between light and your internal rhythm, is one of the most powerful tools you have for supporting your sleep and your well-being. Light is the most powerful time cue your circadian system has. It's the signal that tells your body what time it is, where you are in the cycle of day and night, and what it should be preparing for. But not all light is created equal. The intensity of light matters. The color of light matters. The timing of light matters. And the duration of light exposure matters. Your eyes contain specialized cells that are exquisitely sensitive to light, particularly to blue light, the kind of light that's abundant in the morning sky, in the bright midday sun, and unfortunately, in the screens of your phone, your computer, your tablet, and your television. These cells, called intrinsically photosensitive retinal ganglion cells, contain a pigment called melanopsin, which is most responsive to light in the blue part of the spectrum, roughly around 480 nanometers. When these cells detect blue light, they send a signal directly to the SCN, bypassing the parts of your visual system that are responsible for seeing images and colors. This signal doesn't help you see. It helps you know what time it is. It tells your brain, Therese, light. It's daytime. Be awake. In the morning, this signal is incredibly valuable. It's what helps you wake up, what helps you feel alert, what helps your body transition from the sleepy melatonin, rich state of night to the wakeful cortisol, rich state of day. Cortisol is another hormone that plays a key role in your circadian rhythm. It's often called the stress hormone. And while it's true that cortisol levels rise in response to stress, it's also true that cortisol has a natural daily rhythm that has nothing to do with stress. Cortisol levels are lowest in the middle of the night, around the same time that melatonin levels are highest. Then, in the early morning, a few hours before you wake up, cortisol levels begin to rise. They rise sharply, peaking within about 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up, a phenomenon known as the cortisol awakening response. This surge of cortisol is what helps you feel alert in the morning. It's what gives you the energy to get out of bed, to start your day, to engage with the world. It's a natural, healthy part of your circadian rhythm, and it's closely tied to light exposure. When you expose yourself to bright light in the morning, you reinforce this cortisol surge. You tell your body, yes, it's time to be awake. It's time to be active. And your body responds by ramping up cortisol production, by increasing your heart rate, by raising your body temperature, by sharpening your focus. But in the evening, the same signal that's so helpful in the morning becomes a problem. When you expose yourself to bright light, especially blue light, in the hours before bed, you send a confusing message to your SCN. You tell it, it's still daytime. Don't release melatonin yet. Stay alert, and your body listens. It suppresses melatonin. It keeps cortisol levels higher than they should be. It keeps your body temperature elevated. It keeps your mind active. And the result is that you don't feel sleepy when you should. You lie in bed, wide awake, your mind racing, your body restless, even though you're exhausted. This is one of the most common causes of difficulty falling asleep in the modern world. We're exposed to far more light at night than our ancestors ever were. We have overhead lights, lamps, screens, all of which emit significant amounts of blue light. And our circadian systems, which evolved over millions of years in environments where the only light at night came from the moon and the stars and the occasional fire, don't know how to interpret this. They interpret it as daytime, and they respond accordingly. This doesn't mean you have to live in complete darkness after sunset. It just means you have to be mindful of the kind of light you're exposing yourself to. Dim light, warm light, light that's low in blue wavelengths, has much less of an effect on your circadian rhythm. A candle, a low wattage lamp with a warm bulb, the soft glow of a fireplace. These kinds of light allow your melatonin to rise naturally. They don't suppress it. They don't confuse your circadian system. They allow your body to follow its natural rhythm towards sleep. On the other hand, bright overhead lights, the kind you might have in your kitchen or bathroom, and especially the bright blue rich light from screens, can significantly delay your circadian rhythm. Studies have shown that even a couple of hours of exposure to bright light in the evening can shift your circadian rhythm later by an hour or more, making it harder to fall asleep at your usual time and harder to wake up in the morning. This is why so many sleep experts recommend dimming the lights in the evening, avoiding screens for at least an hour before bed, or if you must use screens, using features like night mode or blue light filters that reduce the amount of blue light emitted. These are simple changes, but they can have a profound effect on your sleep. They allow your circadian rhythm to do what it's designed to do, which is to prepare your body for sleep as the day ends. They allow melatonin to rise. They allow your body temperature to drop. They allow your mind to quiet. They allow you to transition from the active, alert state of day to the restful, restorative state of night. And it's not just about the evening. The contrast between day and night matters too. If you spend your entire day in dim indoor lighting, never exposing yourself to bright light, and then you expose yourself to bright light in the evening, your circadian system doesn't have a clear signal about what time it is. It doesn't have a strong anchor. But if you expose yourself to bright light in the morning and throughout the day, and then you dim the lights in the evening, you create a clear contrast. You give your circadian system a strong signal. You tell it, this is day, this is night, this is when I'm awake, this is when I sleep. And your body responds. It synchronizes. It finds its rhythm. This is why people who work indoors all day, who never see the sun, who spend their evenings in front of screens, often struggle with sleep. Their circadian systems are receiving weak, confusing signals. They're not getting the bright light they need during the day to anchor their rhythm, and they're getting too much bright light at night, which delays their rhythm. The result is a kind of circadian drift, where their internal clock slowly shifts later and later, making it harder to fall asleep at a reasonable hour and harder to wake up in the morning. But the good news is that this drift can be reversed. It can be corrected, and it doesn't require drastic changes. It just requires consistency. It requires giving your circadian system the signals it needs. Morning light, bright light during the day, dim light in the evening, darkness at night. These are the signals your body is designed to respond to. These are the signals that have shaped the evolution of your circadian system over millions of years. And when you give your body these signals, it responds, it synchronizes, it finds its rhythm, and you feel the difference. You feel it in the ease with which you fall asleep. You feel it in the natural way you wake up. You feel it in the clarity of your mind, the steadiness of your energy, the sense of being in sync with yourself and with the world around you. There is something deeply reassuring about understanding this, about knowing that your body isn't broken, that your sleep isn't failing, that you're not doing something wrong. You're just responding to the signals you're receiving. And if those signals have been confusing, if your rhythm has felt off, you now have the knowledge to change those signals. You have the power to support your circadian rhythm, to give it what it needs, to help it do what it's designed to do. And that's a gift. That's a form of self-care that's simple, accessible, and profoundly effective. It's not about perfection. It's not about rigid rules. It's about understanding the principles, about working with your body instead of against it, about giving yourself the grace to adjust, to experiment, to find what works for you. So as you lie here now, imagine your circadian rhythm as a gentle, steady wave, rising and falling, carrying you through the cycles of day and night. Imagine the light of morning as a signal that lifts the wave, that brings you up into wakefulness, into alertness, into the active phase of your day. Imagine the dimming light of evening as a signal that allows the wave to fall, that brings you down into rest, into quiet, into the restorative phase of your night. And imagine yourself moving with this wave, not fighting it, not resisting it, but flowing with it, trusting it, allowing it to carry you. This is the rhythm of your life. This is the rhythm of your body, and it's always there, always ticking, always guiding you, even when you're not aware of it. All you have to do is listen. All you have to do is give it the signals it needs. All you have to do is trust that it knows what it's doing, because it does. It's been doing this for as long as life has existed on Earth, and it will keep doing it as long as you let it. Take another slow breath in, and as you exhale, let go of any tension you're holding. Let go of any worry about whether you're doing this right. whether your sleep is good enough, whether your rhythm is where it should be. It's okay. You're okay. Your body is doing exactly what it's designed to do. And with a little understanding, with a little patience, with a few simple changes, you can support it. You can help it find its rhythm. You can help it carry you through each day and each night with ease, with grace, with a sense of being at home in your own body, in your own time. And that's all you need to do. Just be here. Just breathe. Just let your body do what it knows how to do. Let it rest. Let it restore. Let it find its way back to balance. You're safe. You're supported. And you're exactly where you need to be. As the night deepens, the inner world of the sleeper drifts further from the edges of the day, and the rhythm of the body's clock continues its steady guidance beneath the surface of awareness. The lights are long since dimmed, the outside world softened to a quiet backdrop, and breathing has settled into an easy, regular pattern. Somewhere inside the brain, the master clock is still quietly keeping time, but now that timing is being expressed through the shape and texture of sleep itself, through the unfolding stages that the mind and body flow through across the night. Sleep is not one single thing that simply turns on and off. It comes in distinct flavors and depths, each with its own purpose, its own brain patterns, and its own role in healing. Over a typical night, an adult cycles through non-REM sleep and REM sleep several times, with each full cycle lasting around an hour and a half or so, gently repeating like waves arriving on a shoreline. Within those cycles, non-REM sleep is divided into lighter and deeper stages, while REM sleep carries its own unique, dream-rich quality. If someone could see the electrical activity of the brain as you sleep, they would see this pattern like a musical score. In wakefulness, especially with eyes open, the brain shows fast, low-amplitude beta waves. As you become drowsy and your eyes close, slower alpha waves appear. Then, as you slip into the first light stage of sleep, those familiar waves begin to give way to new patterns. This first non-REM stage, often called N1, is just a few minutes long at the start of the night and makes up only a small fraction of your total sleep. In this phase, the brain's activity becomes more mixed and low in voltage, and you are still easy to wake. You've probably felt this state many times. Those moments when you are not quite sure if you are still awake or already drifting. When sounds blur a little and your thoughts begin to wander into loose, dreamlike fragments. A gentle noise can bring you back right away, and you might insist, "I wasn't asleep yet," even though, in brain terms, you had already taken the first step into sleep. From there, the body typically moves into stage N2, a deeper form of light sleep that gradually grows to become the most abundant stage across the night. In this stage, your heart rate slows a little more, your body temperature drops, eye movements quiet down, and your brain begins to produce characteristic features called sleep spindles and K-complexes. Sleep spindles are brief bursts of rapid brain activity, like quick, focused ripples, while K-complexes are isolated high-amplitude waves that stand out clearly against the background pattern. Many scientists believe that these spindles are closely tied to memory consolidation, especially for skills and facts learned during the day. People who learn new tasks often show more of this spindle activity, as if the brain is replaying and strengthening what it has just practiced. You can imagine N2 as a kind of backstage workshop where your brain quietly organizes, filters, and files experiences. The world outside is muted enough that you won't be disturbed by every little sound, but you are not yet so deep in sleep that waking is difficult. As the night moves forward, you drift into stage N3, also known as slow-wave sleep or deep non-REM sleep. Here, the brain's electrical pattern slows dramatically and becomes dominated by large, high-amplitude delta waves. This is the hardest stage to awaken from. If someone does wake you from N3, you may feel disoriented, foggy, and slow, a state known as sleep inertia, which can linger for a short while as your brain gradually comes back online. Slow-wave sleep is when the body leans especially hard into restorative processes. This is the period associated with tissue repair, immune strengthening, bone building, and the release of growth hormone. The sympathetic nervous system, the branch linked to fight or flight, quiets down while the parasympathetic rest and digest branch takes a stronger role. Watching from the outside, you might see very little movement, just a deeply relaxed, peaceful stillness. Over the course of a full night's sleep, slow-wave sleep tends to be most prominent in the first third of the night, often filling the early cycles. As the hours pass, the amount of N, the 3rd of December reaces, replaced by longer stretches of lighter non-REM and more frequent, extended REM periods. REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, arrives first roughly an hour to an hour and a half after you fall asleep. It is a paradoxical state in many ways. In REM, the brain's electrical activity resembles wakefulness, with low voltage, mixed frequency waves. But the muscles of the body are effectively paralyzed, except for the diaphragm and the tiny muscles that move the eyes. During this phase, you often see bursts of quick eye movements under closed lids, irregular breathing, and small twitches. This is the stage most strongly associated with vivid, story-like dreams. If people are awakened from REM, they often report elaborate dream experiences, full of color, narrative, and emotion, far more frequently than if they are awakened from other stages. Various lines of research suggest that REM sleep supports emotional processing and certain kinds of memory, especially for complex or emotionally charged experiences. As the night progresses, the balance between non-REM and REM shifts. In the first half of the night, slow-wave sleep dominates. In the second half, REM and lighter stages like N2 become more prominent. The cycles continue, but REM stretches longer and deeper into the early morning hours. Underneath this architecture lies a fundamental interaction between two regulatory forces: the circadian process, governed by the body's internal clock, and the homeostatic process, sometimes called Process S. You can think of Process S as the pressure for sleep that builds up during wakefulness and dissipates while you rest. The longer you stay awake, the greater this buildup. When you finally sleep, that pressure gradually discharges, especially through deep, slow-wave sleep. The circadian process, in contrast, is the rhythmic, roughly 24-hour pattern orchestrated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus and supported by signals like melatonin and cortisol. It adjusts your internal body temperature, hormone levels, and alertness. During the day, circadian signals keep you awake, counteracting the growing homeostatic sleep pressure. In the evening, those wake-promoting signals soften. The pressure for sleep is high, and the two processes align to promote easy sleep onset and deep rest. When sleep pressure is high, but circadian signals are still pushing for wakefulness, you may feel exhausted yet wired. These two systems, working together, help explain why the timing of sleep matters so much. If you try to sleep when your internal clock is still promoting wakefulness, sleep may be shallow, fragmented, or delayed. If you try to stay awake when your circadian system is at its lowest point, in the depths of the night, you may struggle with attention, mood, and performance despite caffeine or willpower. Across the night, these internal rhythms also shape when different sleep stages occur. Slow-wave sleep is most concentrated when homeostatic pressure is greatest, usually in the first few hours after you fall asleep. REM sleep is closely tied to circadian timing and tends to expand in the later part of the night. All of this quiet choreography unfolds whether you are thinking about it or not. While you simply lie in bed, eyes closed, perhaps listening to soft sounds or distant night noises, your brain and body are cycling through these patterns with remarkable reliability. You can give yourself over to that process with trust, feeling a gentle reassurance in knowing that there is a built-in system for restoration at work inside you. You may have felt, on some mornings, the difference between waking from deep, slow wave sleep versus waking from a dream-rich REM episode. When awakened abruptly from N3, you might feel heavy, thick-headed, and reluctant to move. The world feels far away for a few minutes, and simple tasks seem to require extra effort. This is sleep inertia, a kind of temporary lag as brain networks transition from deep synchronized slow waves into the more complex, desynchronized activity of full wakefulness. By contrast, waking from REM, especially in the later morning, can feel surprisingly clear or emotionally vivid. You may remember a dream in rich detail or wake with a lingering mood, a sense of hope, worry, curiosity, or nostalgia carried over from whatever your brain was processing in that last REM bout. These experiences are not random. They reflect how deeply intertwined sleep stages are with cognition, emotion, and physiology. During slow-wave sleep, certain parts of the brain, including regions involved in higher reasoning, show markedly reduced activity and metabolism, and blood flow decreases compared with wakefulness. During REM, by contrast, some emotion, related, and visual areas become more active, while muscle tone remains low, preventing you from physically acting out your dreams. For memory, the picture is equally intricate. Different aspects of memory may benefit from different stages. Slow-wave sleep appears particularly important for consolidating declarative memories, facts, events, things you consciously know, while stage 2, sleep with its spindles, and REM sleep with its unique patterns, may support motor skills, procedural learning, and emotional integration. You might remember times when you studied late at night, slept, and woke up with a clearer grasp than you felt you had the night before. Or times when you struggled with a problem in the evening, but woke with a fresh perspective. The underlying processes are complex, but they reflect the brain's tendency to replay, reorganize, and selectively strengthen important information while you sleep. All of this detail lives inside an experience that, from the outside, looks so simple, lying still in the dark, breathing, unconscious. It is a good reminder that even in your quietest, most resting states, you remain in motion internally, supported by remarkably sophisticated systems. Now, if we step back from a single night's sleep and look across the lifespan, the pattern of sleep stages and their distribution shifts in a way that mirrors the changing needs of the body and brain. Newborns, for example, spend a large proportion of their time asleep, often 16 to 18 hours scattered over day and night, but their sleep is more fragmented, and in the earliest weeks, they often enter sleep through REM rather than non-REM. Circadian rhythms have not yet fully emerged, so there is less consolidated nighttime sleep and less distinct day-night separation. By about 2 to 3 months of age, the earliest signs of a circadian pattern begin to appear. Infants start sleeping longer at night and having longer daytime wake periods. Around 3 months, the cycling of melatonin and cortisol in a daily rhythm becomes clearer, and sleep onset begins to occur through non-REM stages, more like adults. REM sleep also shifts to later in the sleep cycle, and the total NREM-FREM cycle lengthens from a shorter infant cycle toward the 90-minute adult pattern. By 6 months, many infants can produce a longest sleep episode of several hours, and by 12 months, total sleep drops to roughly 14 to 15 hours per Dalton Y, with most of that now consolidated into the night and 1 or 2 naps. You can picture their internal clocks gradually locking onto the light, dark cycle of the world around them, guided by parental routines, exposure to daylight, and the maturing of the brain's clockwork. In toddlers and young children around 1 to 3 years, daily sleep needs are still quite high, but they begin to decrease slowly, dropping by a couple of hours between about age 2 and age 5. Daytime naps become shorter or less frequent, and nighttime sleep takes on a more adult-like structure, with cycles of non-REM and REM and a dominant slow-wave portion in the first part of the night. Interestingly, by around 6 years of age, children already begin to show early preferences for morningness or eveningness. Some lean toward being early risers, springing out of bed and becoming sleepy early, while others naturally prefer later bed and wake times. These early tendencies reflect both circadian timing and homeostatic dynamics, quietly hinting at the chronotypes that will become more apparent later. Through late childhood and into adolescence, sleep architecture continues to evolve. Adolescents generally need around 9 or more hours of sleep per night, but many get less due to social, academic, and digital demands. During puberty, there is often a notable shift toward later sleep timing. Bedtimes drift later, and wake times, if unconstrained by school or obligations, would drift later too. This is partly due to changes in circadian phase and melatonin timing, and partly to shifts in how sleep pressure builds and dissipates. As people move into adulthood, the total amount of slow-wave sleep gradually decreases. Deep N3 occupies a smaller share of total sleep time, while lighter N, the 2nd of May, occupy more. Overall, sleep duration often decreases modestly, and awakenings during the night may become more frequent. Older adults, especially those over about 65, often fall asleep and wake earlier compared with younger adults, and their sleep may be more fragmented. Morning light exposure and daytime activity still help anchor their circadian rhythms, but the amplitude of some circadian signals, such as the day-night difference in core body temperature and certain hormones, tends to diminish somewhat with age. Gender can play a role as well. On average, men tend to have slightly more stage N1 sleep and more awakenings, which can lead to a greater tendency toward daytime sleepiness. Women tend to maintain slow-wave sleep longer across the lifespan, and more often report difficulty falling asleep. Pregnancy and the postpartum period bring their own unique patterns, with increased nighttime awakenings and daytime sleepiness linked to both hormonal shifts and caregiving demands. When you think about your own sleep, you may recognize pieces of this story. Perhaps as a child you remember nights of deep, uninterrupted sleep and early mornings full of energy. Perhaps in your teenage years you found yourself finally feeling truly awake late at night and resenting early alarms. As an adult, you might now notice that certain hours of the night feel especially precious for deep rest, and that awakenings in the pre-dawn hours are more common. There is comfort in realizing that many of these shifts are not personal failings, but reflections of broad biological patterns shared by humans across the globe. Your sleep architecture and timing are shaped by your genes, hormones, age, light exposure, habits, and social environment, all woven together under the guidance of your circadian system and homeostatic sleep drive. Even the ways we measure and understand sleep reflect this complexity. In sleep laboratories, researchers use polysomnography, a combination of brainwave recording for electrical activity, sensors for eye movements, and measures of muscle tone, along with other signals like heart rate, breathing, and oxygen levels, to map out sleep stages and detect disturbances. By looking at these signals, they can see how often someone cycles through N1, N2, N3, and REM, how long each stage lasts, whether breathing is stable, whether arousals interrupt the flow, and how the sleep pattern aligns with or deviates from expected circadian timing. From this vantage point, sleep becomes a landscape with hills and valleys, plateaus and crossings, light dozing, stable intermediate sleep, deep slow waves, and soaring dream phases. The circadian rhythm provides the lighting and background, determining when it is easier to traverse this landscape smoothly and when it is harder. The homeostatic process shapes how steep the descent into deep sleep will be, based on how long you've been awake and how demanding that wakefulness has been. Standing at the edge of this understanding, you might feel a gentle, widening appreciation for your own nights. Instead of seeing sleep as a simple on-off switch that either works or fails, you can begin to feel it as a layered living system that is constantly adjusting, compensating, and trying to protect your health. Even when you have a night that feels imperfect, light, interrupted, or restless, there are still brief moments of deeper stages, short bursts of REM, and stretches of quiet rebalancing at work. As you continue to rest now, with your breathing slow and easy, you can imagine your brain moving, unhurried, from one stage to the next, guided by that combination of inner timekeeping and accumulated need. Light sleep, giving way to deeper sleep. Deep sleep gradually easing into lighter phases again. Dreams coming and going, like soft, private stories. You do not have to control this process. You don't need to track your stages or calculate your cycles. Your role in this gentle moment is simply to allow, to give your body the conditions it recognizes. Darkness, quiet, or soothing sound, a comfortable temperature, a sense of safety, and then to trust the internal systems that have been shaped over millions of years to carry you through the night. Your circadian rhythm continues to do its quiet work, adjusting hormone release, body temperature, and autonomic balance. Your sleep stages continue their subtle pattern, distributing restoration across brain and body in a way that reflects your age, your genetics, your recent days, and the long history of human sleep. And you, right now, are allowed to loosen your attention, to let thoughts blur and soften, and to rest in the knowledge that even as you drift, your inner clock is keeping steady time for you. There are moments in life when the rhythm you've been following suddenly shifts, and you find yourself out of step with the world around you. Perhaps you've traveled across time zones and felt the strange disorientation of jet lag, your body insisting it's time to sleep while the sun blazes overhead. Or maybe you've worked a night shift, forcing yourself to stay awake under artificial lights, while every cell in your body whispers that it should be resting. These experiences, uncomfortable as they are, reveal something profound about the circadian system. It is both remarkably resilient and surprisingly vulnerable. When your internal clock falls out of alignment with the external world, the consequences ripple through nearly every aspect of your health and well-being. This misalignment, whether temporary or chronic, is more common than you might think, affecting millions of people around the globe in various forms. Understanding how and why this happens, and what can be done to restore harmony, offers not only practical guidance, but also a deeper appreciation for the delicate balance your body maintains every single day. One of the most familiar forms of circadian disruption is jet lag. When you board a plane and cross multiple time zones in a matter of hours, your body's internal clock remains stubbornly set to your home time zone, even as the external environment insists on a completely different schedule. If you fly from Boston to Paris, for example, crossing 6 time zones eastward, your plane might land at 6 o'clock a.m. Paris time, but your body still feels like it's midnight. The sun is rising, people are having breakfast, and the day is beginning. But your circadian system is signaling that you should be deep in sleep. This mismatch creates a constellation of symptoms: excessive daytime sleepiness, nighttime insomnia, difficulty concentrating, headaches, loss of appetite, gastrointestinal discomfort, and sometimes irritability or mild depression. You might find yourself wide awake at 3 o'clock a.m., staring at the ceiling, while feeling overwhelmingly tired at noon. Your body temperature rhythm, your melatonin secretion, your cortisol peaks, all of these remain anchored to your original time zone, creating a profound sense of being out of sync. Fortunately, jet lag is usually temporary. Your circadian system is designed to adapt to new light, dark cycles through a process called entrainment. Each day, exposure to light in the new time zone, along with social cues, meal times, and physical activity, nudges your internal clock a little closer to alignment. The suprachiasmatic nucleus gradually adjusts, melatonin secretion shifts, and within several days to a week, most people find their rhythms have realigned with the local environment. The speed of this adjustment depends on several factors, including the direction of travel. Traveling eastward, which requires advancing your clock, is generally harder than traveling westward, which requires delaying it. This is because most people's natural circadian period is slightly longer than 24 hours, making it easier to stay up later than to go to bed earlier. The number of time zones crossed also matters. The more zones, the longer the adjustment period. While jet lag is a temporary inconvenience for travelers, shift work represents a more chronic and serious form of circadian disruption. Shift workers, nurses, factory workers, security guards, pilots, and many others are required to be awake and alert during hours when their circadian system is programmed for sleep. In many cases, they must then try to sleep during the day when their body is biologically primed for wakefulness. A significant portion of people in industrialized societies work night shifts. For these individuals, the circadian system is in a state of constant conflict. The master clock in the suprachiasmatic nucleus receives light signals during the night, which would normally suppress melatonin and promote alertness. But the timing is all wrong. When shift workers try to sleep during the day, sunlight and environmental noise make it difficult, and their circadian system is actively promoting wakefulness. This chronic misalignment has profound health consequences. Shift workers experience higher rates of sleep disorders, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, including type 2 diabetes, gastrointestinal problems, and certain types of cancer, particularly breast and prostate cancer. They also face increased risks of mood disorders, including depression and anxiety, as well as cognitive impairments and accidents due to sleepiness and reduced alertness. The mechanisms behind these health problems are complex and multifaceted. Circadian disruption affects nearly every physiological system. Blood pressure, which normally dips during sleep, may remain elevated. Glucose metabolism becomes less efficient, increasing the risk of insulin resistance. Inflammatory markers rise, contributing to chronic disease. Hormonal rhythms, including cortisol and melatonin, become dysregulated, even for those who don't work night shifts. A subtler form of circadian misalignment has become increasingly common in modern life. It's called social jet lag, and it affects a large majority of people to some degree. Social jet lag occurs when there is a mismatch between your sleep schedule on workdays and your sleep schedule on free days, typically weekends. During the week, you might force yourself to wake up at 6 o'clock a.m. for work or school, even though your natural preference would be to sleep until 8 o'clock a.m. or 9 o'clock a.m. Then, on weekends, you allow yourself to sleep in, going to bed later and waking up later. This creates a recurring pattern of shifting your circadian phase back and forth, much like traveling across time zones every week. The magnitude of social jet lag is calculated as the difference in the midpoint of sleep between workdays and free days. For many people, this difference is 1 to 2 hours, but for some, it can be 3 hours or more. While this might seem minor compared to the dramatic shifts of jet lag or shift work, the chronic, repetitive nature of social jet lag means that your circadian system never fully stabilizes. Research has linked social jet lag to a range of health problems, including increased risk of cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, obesity, and mood disorders. Each hour of social jet lag appears to increase cardiovascular risk in a dose-dependent manner. The constant back and forth prevents your body from establishing a stable rhythm, and the cumulative effects can be significant. You might recognize this pattern in your own life. Perhaps during the week you feel perpetually tired, relying on caffeine to get through the day, and then on weekends you sleep in, trying to catch up on lost sleep. While this feels restorative in the moment, it actually perpetuates the cycle of misalignment, making it harder to fall asleep early on Sunday night and setting you up for another week of struggle. Beyond these well-known forms of circadian disruption, Modern life presents other challenges to the circadian system. Exposure to artificial light at night, particularly the blue light emitted by smartphones, tablets, computers, and televisions, can suppress melatonin secretion and delay the circadian phase. Many adults and children sleep with a light producing electronic device in the room. Even relatively dim light can have an effect. A typical living room at night might be illuminated at levels far brighter than natural moonlight. Before the widespread adoption of electric lighting about a century ago, humans were exposed to minimal light at night. Now, the vast majority of humans experience significant nighttime light pollution. This constant exposure to light at night blurs the boundaries between day and night, weakening the signals that help keep your circadian system synchronized. The result can be difficulty falling asleep, lighter and more fragmented sleep, and a general sense of being out of sync with your natural rhythms. Given the widespread nature of circadian disruption in modern life, it's worth considering what can be done to restore and maintain healthy circadian rhythms. Fortunately, because the circadian system is designed to respond to environmental cues, there are effective strategies for realignment. The most powerful tool for shifting circadian rhythms is light. Timed exposure to bright light can advance or delay your circadian phase, depending on when it occurs. If you need to shift your clock earlier, for example, to adjust to an eastward time zone, or to overcome delayed sleep phase, exposure to bright light in the early morning, shortly after waking, can help. This signals to your suprachiasmatic nucleus that the day has begun, promoting an earlier release of melatonin in the evening and an earlier onset of sleepiness. Conversely, if you need to shift your clock later to adjust to a westward time zone or to overcome advanced sleep phase, exposure to bright light in the late afternoon or early evening can help. This delays the evening rise in melatonin and allows you to stay awake later. Light therapy typically involves sitting in front of a light box that produces bright light, similar to sunlight, usually at a high intensity, for 30 to 60 minutes. The timing is crucial. Light exposure at the wrong time can shift your rhythm in the opposite direction from what you intend. Light therapy is generally safe, though some people may experience side effects such as eye strain, headaches, or agitation. Just as important as getting light at the right time is avoiding light at the wrong time. If you're trying to shift your clock earlier, you should minimize exposure to bright light in the evening. This might mean dimming the lights in your home, using blue light filters on electronic devices, or wearing light-blocking glasses. Creating a dark, quiet sleep environment is also essential for promoting good sleep. Another effective tool for circadian realignment is melatonin. While your body produces melatonin naturally, taking melatonin supplements can help shift your circadian phase. The timing of melatonin administration is key, and it works in a way that is roughly opposite to light. Taking melatonin in the evening, a few hours before your desired bedtime, can advance your circadian phase, helping you fall asleep earlier. Taking melatonin in the early morning can delay your phase, though this is less commonly used. Melatonin supplements are widely available and generally considered safe, though the dose and purity can vary between brands. Common side effects can include excess sleepiness, headaches, and stomach upset. It's important to talk with a healthcare provider about the appropriate dose and timing, especially if you are pregnant or have other health conditions. For some circadian rhythm disorders, prescription medications are available. Certain medications are approved for specific conditions, such as non-20 for poor sleep, wake disorder in totally blind individuals. Other medications, such as wake-promoting agents, may be used to help shift workers stay alert during their shifts, though these do not address the underlying circadian misalignment. Beyond light and melatonin, behavioral strategies play a crucial role in maintaining healthy circadian rhythms. Establishing a regular sleep-wake schedule, even on weekends, is one of the most important steps you can take. This consistency helps stabilize your circadian system and reduces social jet lag. Other elements of good sleep hygiene include keeping your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet, avoiding large meals, caffeine, and alcohol close to bedtime, and engaging in regular physical activity during the day. Exercise, in particular, has been shown to improve sleep quality and may help with circadian alignment, especially when done in the morning or early afternoon. For shift workers, the challenges are more complex, but there are strategies that can help. Wearing light, blocking glasses during the commute home in the morning can prevent bright sunlight from further delaying the circadian phase. Creating a dark, quiet sleep environment during the day is essential. Some shift workers benefit from strategic napping before their shift begins. Rotating shifts in a clockwise direction, from day to evening to night, is generally better tolerated than rotating in the opposite direction. For travelers dealing with jet lag, adjusting your schedule to the new time zone before you depart can help minimize the disruption. Once you arrive, getting outside and exposing yourself to natural light at the appropriate times, staying active, and eating meals on the local schedule can all speed up the adjustment process. It's also worth noting that some people are more vulnerable to circadian disruption than others. Genetic factors play a role in determining your chronotype, whether you're naturally a morning person or an evening person, and in how quickly you can adapt to changes in schedule. Age also matters. Older adults tend to have earlier circadian phases and may find it harder to adjust to time zone changes or shift work. As you rest now, breathing slowly and easily, you might reflect on your own relationship with your circadian rhythms. Have there been times when you felt out of sync, when sleep was elusive, or wakefulness felt forced? Have you noticed patterns in your energy levels, your mood, your ability to concentrate, that seem to follow a daily rhythm? Understanding the circadian system and the factors that can disrupt it offers a kind of gentle empowerment. You don't have to be at the mercy of jet lag, shift work, or social jet lag. You have tools, light, darkness, melatonin, consistent routines that can help you realign your internal clock with the world around you. You can make choices that support your circadian health, and in doing so, support your overall health and well-being. The circadian system is ancient, evolved over millions of years to help organisms anticipate and adapt to the predictable cycles of day and night. It is woven into the fabric of your biology, influencing not just when you sleep and wake, but how your heart beats, how your metabolism functions, how your immune system responds, and how your brain processes information and emotion. In a world that increasingly operates around the clock, where artificial light is ubiquitous, and schedules are often dictated by work and social demands rather than natural rhythms, it's easy to lose touch with this ancient system, but it is still there, quietly ticking away, trying to keep you in harmony with the turning of the earth. Honoring your circadian rhythms doesn't mean rejecting modern life or avoiding all nighttime activities. It means being mindful of the signals you're sending to your internal clock. It means recognizing that light and darkness are not just aesthetic features of your environment, but powerful biological cues. It means understanding that consistency in your sleep-wake schedule is not a luxury, but a foundation for health. As you continue to rest, you can imagine your circadian system as a wise, patient guide, always working to keep you aligned with the natural world. Even when you've been thrown off course by travel, work, or the demands of daily life, it is ready to help you find your way back. All it needs is the right signals. Light at the right time, darkness at the right time, regularity, and a little patience. You can trust that your body knows how to do this. It has been doing it for as long as life has existed on this planet. Your role is simply to support it, to listen to its signals, and to create the conditions that allow it to function as it was designed to. And so, as you lie here in the quiet, you can let go of any worry about sleep, any frustration about feeling out of sync. You can trust that with time, with consistency, with the gentle guidance of light and darkness, your circadian rhythms will find their balance. You can rest in the knowledge that your body is always working toward harmony, always seeking alignment, always moving toward health. Your breath continues, slow and steady. Your heart beats in its own rhythm, and somewhere deep in your brain, the suprachiasmatic nucleus keeps its faithful watch, counting the hours, sensing the light, guiding you through the cycles of day and night, sleep and wakefulness, rest and activity. You are part of a vast, interconnected system, a rhythm that extends from the smallest cell to the turning of the earth itself. And in this moment, you can simply be allowing that rhythm to hold you, to guide you, to carry you gently into sleep. The night is here, the darkness is here, your body knows what to do, and you can trust it completely to take you where you need to go. Rest now, let go, and allow the ancient wisdom of your circadian system to do its work, bringing you the deep, restorative sleep you need and deserve. If you enjoyed this journey through the science of your body's internal clock, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Gentle Sleep ASMR for more relaxing educational content to help you drift into peaceful sleep. Sweet dreams.